My name is Micah, last name Smith. If I look familiar to you, I took English 111 this semester. I'm 22 years old. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, but I would consider myself a native North Carolinian. I've lived here my entire life. I'm a current student at Wake Tech Community College, and I aspire to graduate at NC State with a bachelor's in aerospace engineering. This semester, there were a plethora of different concepts discussed during English 111 this fall that were both educational and non-educational. This video was created to expand on what I wrote during English 111 and elaborate the concepts I learned during the class. Best way to describe English 111 this year, I would say is with a quote. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This simple but overused quote summed up English class this semester. My first essay I wrote on basketball, specifically college basketball. It's been a part of my life ever since I moved to North Carolina at age 5. Hundreds of people have told me over the time I played, when I played high school ball and I played ball in college a little bit, that my talent and mind for the game was miles ahead of the average person involved in basketball. When writing my first essay on college basketball, I didn't try hard in the beginning. I was filled with arrogance and I believed that I could put anything on the paper on the back burner, right? Until, days before, because I knew so much about the sport. However, when the due date came around, alarm bells rang around in my head. I made a crucial mistake to not try on my paper till the end. I pulled 2 all-nighters just to finish my paper, and the stress endured from that paper until I even finished it spilled over into a lot of the other stuff I had to do at the time. My main takeaway for the process can be summed up with another very famous sports quote: trust the process. The term was coined by the Philadelphia 76ers front office to help their fans calm down and let them know, even though we're the worst team in the NBA right now, and it sucks right now, going through these motions and going through this pain will make us better in the long run. I remembered this quote as I was doing these papers and going through the motions, doing outlines and anything like that, right? That even though it sucks right now, it's going to suck right now, this will help me be better in the long run. After my first paper, my struggles, my second and my third paper, I took time out, I wrote outlines, I wrote thesis statements, I did extra research to cover my bases. Even if I didn't use that research in my papers, I made sure I was covered up and knew my stuff. Again, I saw these steps at times unnecessary, but because I learned to trust the process, in this case, the writing process, it made my writing better in the long run. During my third paper was when I was finishing up my paper and all the power suddenly went out in my house. There was no storm or anything, it just suddenly went out. I had panicked because my essay was due about 2 days later from that day. But I stopped panicking and I didn't lie down. I learned to gain grit and to gain confidence in myself, right? When the going gets tough, I've always learned you gotta dig in and make do, right? In the darkness of my room, I kept typing with no Wi-Fi or no power, but I still got the shell of my essay done, just enough where I could do things at Wake Tech. I also asked for help informing my instructor in class and other classes as well about the situation at hand. I was able to get assistance to help me make do, whether it was extensions in some class or other classes, depending on what happened. My power eventually did come back on, but I didn't let a single problem waver my confidence or let my drive fall down. I learned to both be resourceful in the real world and also while writing that very essay. One common thing that happened throughout my enjoyment of this class was my writing. I could see it morphing in a plethora of different ways. The 2 most important traits that I wrote, as I realized, were how concise my descriptions of my papers were getting and how the readability, or how readable a text is, increased over time. And I saw this not just in my English class, but in other classes as well. For example, for my general engineering class, we had this giant competition called a Rube Goldberg project. Right? Rube Goldberg machine, as the machine was called and built, is basically where you have energy moving from one spot consistently to the other without human influence. It's commonly seen on YouTube in the form of people putting dominoes across their house. The dominoes tip over, they go down the stairs. The last domino will hit a ball, right? The ball will roll down, it will trigger a pot or pan ball, which will pop a balloon or knock over something else. For our class, or our competition, we had 40 different teams from across the entire county. Each team had 5 members on it, meaning there were around 200 different people competing in this competition. We almost got a podium spot out of the 40 teams. We finished 5th out of 40 teams. I believe it was a little more than 40, but in the 40 range. Judges loved not just our machine, but also they loved how we presented our work. I took the ability for writing most of the report, as my group felt like I was the best writer. One thing I remembered before writing this in English class was a writer talked about how you do not use a long word if a short one will do. This quote felt like in me, because every time I typed words out, I'd be like, can I make this shorter in any way, shape, or form? The judges loved how simple I kept our descriptions for each part of our machine while still describing it elaborately, right? I could still describe on a high level, but keep the word choice simple. I learned in English class, it's not about the length of the word, it's not about the length of the paper, and it's not about sounding smart. Keep it simple, because simple is easily understood. It does not matter how I sound or if I sound smart. It matters if the people I'm talking to understand fully what is going on. This feedback changed my writing overnight and allowed me to be better at describing everything in my writing, from characters to events to the setting of the story. Simplification is a skill I will forever keep in my writing arsenal. I've taken 111 twice in the past beforehand, but this 111 class taught me more than I could have fathomed I would have learned at the beginning of the semester. I had learned to have patience, to trust the processes given to me to enhance my writing. I learned to have grit and to be resourceful, operating within the constraints to best of my ability. I learned that simplicity goes a long way. Don't write to look smart, write to help others understand. These skills are all invaluable, and it will live with me through English 112 for the rest of my college career, and as long as I compose literature for personal and public use. Thank you.